Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to let folks come in. This is Sustainable in the City. Hopefully you know that, seeing as you registered for this webinar.
A very astute audience.
As a reminder of where you are.
Welcome, everyone. Second Wednesday of the month. Grab your lunches. Grab your maybe like third cup of coffee. I don't know what life you live. Do what you need to do. So excited to have everyone on today. We're talking about the public library system. Come on now. Everyone's favorite topic. How are you doing? How are you doing, Allie?
Doing good. Doing good. It's nice spring weather. We've not yet hit full summer season yet. At least I don't think. I guess it's technically the 21st is the turn, but yeah, doing good. How about you, Christina?
Doing fantastic. I'm going to be at Bonnaroo doing a panel on Friday. So I'm getting like all ready to go to, what is it, Planet Roo or whatever. I've never been to Bonnaroo. So
I'll have to show you. If anyone else reads the Nashville Scene, there was a very funny Bonnaroo bingo that they had in one of their recent editions. Would highly recommend you take a look at that, Christina.
Yes. I'll need to look at that.
Okay, well, shall we get going? I guess it's only been a minute. Feels like it's been longer than that, but we might as well.
Our banter is just so intriguing. Can't contain our excitement of speaking to each other on camera. I swear we talk to each other less awkwardly when we're planning the episodes. But yeah, I think we have most folks, and we can get started.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, welcome to Sustainable in the City, everyone. We are, as Christina said, very excited to have folks from the Nashville Public Library here. Two representatives in particular from Nashville Public Library's Donelson branch with us. Ryan Darrow, Library Branch Manager, and Bailey Battilla, Adult Librarian. And they'll be sharing about the wonderful community services that NPL provides that are beyond just books, really, and ways for Nashvillians to be reducing waste in some really interesting and creative ways. We're really excited to hear more about their programs and all that they do. So as a reminder, Sustainable in the City is a partnership program between my organization, Zero Waste Nashville, which is a part of Metro Nashville Waste Services, and Christina's organization, Urban Green Lab. My name is Allie Omens, and I'm the Zero Waste Program Coordinator, and I'm here with Christina, the Assistant Director of Classrooms for Urban Green Lab. And we're gonna go through just a few housekeeping items. So Christina, I'll turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Allie, and welcome everyone. Just a reminder for folks who are new or just need a refresher of how we kind of interact on this live stream. So if you want to just kind of chat with the other folks who are coming to join the live stream, you can use the chat function and just kind of share your perspective, share some resources maybe that you want to share, or just kind of connect like we said. Or if you want to ask some questions to our panelists to be asked at the end of the episode, please use the Q&A feature. So that is specifically the Q&A feature where you can ask a question, and then I will read those out live at the end of the episode to both Ryan and Bailey. And if you put the question in the chat, more than likely we will not answer that question. So we'll try to put some reminders to put it in the Q&A, but please make sure that you put your questions in the Q&A, and chat is more for just connecting with other folks. You can also upvote, I believe, if you see a question in the Q&A that you are interested in hearing, and we will do our best to answer all of those questions as best as we can. And then we'll send all of the resources that we talk about today in the follow-up email, including the recording of this live stream. So you'll be able to get all of that and stay connected to us. And then we are going to have you put in the chat your answer to a question so that we can kind of understand if you know how to use the chat, but also understand how you're using the library system. So Allie alluded to this, that there's lots of different ways of using the library system. We have the Fix-It Clinic and the things that we're going to be talking about today. There's a community passport program where you can get free tickets to certain things around the city. There's a seed exchange. So we want to know, what is your favorite way to use the library system? And there's no shame if it's just to get books. That is a very valid reason to use a library system. I would say perhaps the most valid reason to use a library system. So put in the chat, what is your favorite way to use the library system? You can tell us where you go to your library, what's your local library, but we would love to find out in the chat, get folks chatting.
I'll say that I love checking out audiobooks from the library. I love me a good audiobook. So still borrowing a book, but an audiobook.
That's nice. So we have presentations downtown. Love it. Borrow books and videos, Kindle books. She's a book on hold right now. Yes, borrow books. Books is number one, but I've looked into the Seed Library at Green Hills. Awesome.
Very nice.
So,
we should have had a poll or something to see what branch everyone uses.
Right. I love it. Wonderful. Well, keep those coming. We always love to hear from y'all and know how you're using services out and about in Nashville. So we are excited to get going. And I just love Carlin, going for a quiet working space. I think that is a really, really great, smart way of using the library. So again, if you have anything that you want to just share with folks, put it in the chat. But if you have a question, please use the Q&A function so that we can make sure that our guests will answer your question. And now Allie is going to share some fun things going on in Nashville for the next month or so.
And Christina, I'm actually going to turn it right back over to you, because our first, I'm just going to stick with sustainable happenings is what I'm going to call this segment. But our first sustainable happening is an event or two from Urban Green Lab.
Wonderful. Yes. So we have the Be Tennessee kind of Beyond the Bee, a legal workshop on social and entrepreneurship coming up on tomorrow, I believe, at Patagonia. And that'll be something, if you're interested in learning more about Be Tennessee, please feel free to join us. That'll be a fun evening. And Be Tennessee, for those who don't know, are folks who are in business for good, basically. So they are trying to kind of upend the model of businesses to do good in society as they are doing their business. So learn more about that, find out about the legal workshop tomorrow. And then we also would love for folks to volunteer with us. We are starting a new volunteers program this year. We have a inaugural cohort that is getting trained on July 22nd. And these UGL volunteers will be trained to connect their own families and neighborhoods to key educational tools and resources that inspire sustainable choices at home. So that'll be things like saving energy and reducing wasted food. So if you have always wanted to kind of spread the word of Urban Green Lab and sustainability in Nashville with your community, this is the thing for you to do. So share this far and wide and join us if you can on July 22nd. We will share that registration link also in the follow-up email. So hopefully we'll get some folks here who already know so much about sustainability.
Thanks, Christina. And all of the rest of these little events will also be shared in the follow-up email, so you won't miss a thing. But people have mentioned the seed exchange program out of the public library. So a little shout out to an event that the Bordeaux branch of NPL is having this weekend, I believe, on Saturday. A workshop about beneficial insects for landscape and garden. Reminds me of a past Sustainable in the City episode about pollinators and the benefit of all of those, including bees. So if you're interested in attending that workshop, that'll be this weekend. You can learn more about the seed exchange program from NPL. And then a Firefly Watch and Night Walk happening at Shelby Bottoms Nature Center. If you're also interested in an event on Saturday, that will be later in the evening once the fireflies are all out and about, from 8 to 9 p.m. at Shelby Bottoms Nature Center. It'll include a little bit of a kind of walk about the nature center, and you can register at the email you see right there. And become a tree planting scout. So Root Nashville, if you're familiar with the Root Nashville campaign, it's a citywide campaign to plant 500,000 trees by 2050. And so it's a campaign partnership between Metro Nashville and Cumberland River Compact. And so this tree planting tree planting scout training, it's the hardest phrase ever, will be happening on June 26th. Then you can essentially train to be a captain and a leader in helping with the Route Nashville campaign. And then a final additional shout out for participatory budgeting. It was a mention last episode, but the deadline was extended to submit ideas for participatory budgeting. Participatory budgeting is a chance for us in the community to have a direct input on how capital money is spent in Nashville, on a certain amount of how that money is spent. And they are taking ideas for participatory budgeting through June 20th at noon. You can check on the participatory budgeting website, pb.nashville.gov, to see some of the ideas that were already submitted, to get an idea of what kinds of ideas these are, but really infrastructure improvements and other ideas for benefiting the community at large. And that really goes very nicely in line with what Ryan and Bailey will be sharing with us about the improvements that Metro and other, and the Nashville Public Library can make in supporting the community. So with that, I will turn it over to Bailey to start us off with sharing about the repair fair event that is going on through NPL to get us going.
Hey everyone. Yeah, so my name is Bailey. I am the adult librarian at the Nashville Public Library Donelson branch. I've been with the library for about 1.5 years. The first 6 months I was at the North branch. And then for the past year, I've been at the Donelson branch, which is kind of where I started with my sustainability programming. We had a few programming related to recycling and to Metro Water. They came out. And we have programs like that. And I'm also part of the sustainability committee here with the Nashville Public Library, which we just got the Urban Green Lab silver medal, which we're very proud of. But I also do the repair fair here, which is what I'm going to talk about now. So let me share my screen for that. Can we see it? Everybody can see this? Take that as a yes.
Yes, you're good to go. Sorry, I gave you the thumbs up.
Okay. So this is our logo for the repair fair for the Donelson branch. Our circus assistant here, Ronnie, created it, and we used it ever since. I think it's great. So what is a repair fair? So in the most basic terms, a repair fair is a place where people can bring their broken items, like broken lamps, bikes. If your shirt has a hole in it, they can bring it here to this location and hopefully get it fixed by volunteers, by our fixers. We wanted to have this program for 3 big reasons. The first one, of course, is sustainability. Instead of people throwing away these items, these bikes, and throwing them in landfills where they'll rot away for years and years and years, we want them to be fixed. So we won't be in a landfill anymore. We want to be a place where people can go to, where they'll know to go to fix lamps. Because right now, if my lamp broke, I would have no idea where to go if I didn't have this repair fair. Same with shirts and bikes and electronic devices. I would have no idea. So we wanted this option to be open for people so they would know where to bring it, so they wouldn't have to throw it away. We also wanted it to be educational. We wanted our fixers to pass along this knowledge of fixing to the people who brought the items. So those people can learn how to fix, so they can fix their own items, and they can also teach their people how to fix. And it kind of wildfires into hopefully everybody knowing how to fix these items. And also a need. Initially, we didn't know if there was too much of a need, because I think our repair fair here is one of the first in the Southeast to have one. So we're kind of a pilot program, I would say, for this region. But the day of the repair fair, we figured it was definitely a need. We had many people come out. I think about 43 people come out with knives and electronics and everything. So there was definitely a need in our community for this, and I figured most of Nashville has this need too. What did we need for a repair fair? Of course, we needed volunteers. That's probably the most important thing that we needed for this. Without the volunteers, there wouldn't be a repair fair. So what we did is we had a form that we sent out. We posted this form on our Facebook. We posted this form on HIPD, which is a Facebook group for the Donelson community. And we also had Zero Waste put it in their newsletter too. Through all this, we got about 27 volunteers who were interested in volunteering with us, which is great, which is more than I could ever imagine. About 10 of those came out to the actual fair, which was a pretty good number. It left us about 2 per stations. The stations were home appliance, tech items, knife sharpening, sewing, mechanical items, and woodworking. So it left about 2 people per section. There's one for a couple of them, but it left us a pretty good number. Space, luckily we have a meeting room here that has a lot of space to hold the repair fair. It had just enough space to have all the sections in there, and then the tables and the check-in tables and all of that. We had to put the knife sharpening outside for obvious reasons, because of the sparks and the loud noises and the pointy objects. So that was outside, but luckily we had enough space, but that's definitely something to consider when having a repair fair. And then advertisement, we had to put the word out, and we used the same methods as we did to get the volunteers. So we put it out on our Facebook, we put it on the HipD page, and we kind of went, I like to say, a little bit viral when we put it on our Facebook page. We had about, let me see, I have the numbers here. We had about 59 likes and 94 shares. So probably not as viral as I think, but I like to think that we went pretty big on that one. But yeah, so that's been pretty good too. The day of the repair fair, like I said, we had about 43 people in attendance. We had a lot of people come in. We had 57 items fixed and about 118 pounds saved from going into a landfill, which is something I'm very proud of. I think those are great numbers. When people came in, we used this, they signed this little form. This is how we kept track of it. So they would put their name and email and item, and we had a little scale there so they can put the weight of the item. And then they would give this to the fixer, and then they would take that and kind of put what they did. And I got these papers on the back at the end of the day. So that's kind of how we kept the stats up. Of course, there are some items that couldn't be fixed. So with those, we just provided next steps on how to fix them. So with lamps, I know with lamps in particular, a lot of them just needed another part. So we prescribed what parts they would need, or even if an item isn't fixable, if it's completely gone, then hopefully we can tell them that too. But yeah, the bike people brought, in the top left picture, they had all the equipment they needed. They had like these big things, woodworking. We had to have security on stand for this one because of the knives. And even the security guard in the bottom left photo got into it and started woodworking a little bit too. So it was really a great place for a lot of people to come together and kind of help each other out, even if they weren't volunteer fixers. Our next stop for us, I want to build the volunteer base. I want to get more volunteers involved. Like I said, we have 27 now, which is great, but only 10 of those showed up for the first event. So I would like to really build that list up and get more people involved. And I also want to host it at different locations in NPL and in Nashville. So even if it's not at a library branch, maybe somewhere else in Nashville where we can host it, so more people have the opportunity to volunteer and more people to bring their stuff in. If anybody here is interested in volunteering, you can scan this QR code and it'll take you to the link where you can sign up. And you can also, I think my email will be sent out at the end of this. So you can also email me directly and I'll be more than happy to kind of guide you along. And that is all of mine. That's all I got. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. But yeah, it was a great project. I loved it. The day of, it was a beautiful day. And it went smooth. So it was a great day for sure. And a lot of items got fixed, so you can't complain.
Thanks so much, Bailey. That's a really, really cool program. And it's great to see that some of your next steps are to expand that and offer that in different parts of Nashville. I'm curious if I don't know if you directed or you directly interacted with some of these, the folks that came and participated, but I would be curious to know if they seem to make that connection between reducing waste and repairing their items. It's just an interesting thing to think about, like, what is the motivation for going and repairing something? Is it just because you want to save money and not buy another thing? Or is it those higher level sustainability kind of motivations?
Yeah, I didn't talk to a lot of people about that. I would say most of it was, though, because mainly the saving money. You don't want to buy another lamp if you have it, and you just need a part to fix it. But it is a good byproduct that it is sustainable too. Even if they're not thinking about that, it's still a great thing that it is sustainable in itself.
Yeah. That's great. And it can be a fit for a lot of different needs. You know, we're still getting to that end aim of the waste that you said that was diverted. What was it, 100 and something pounds of
About
material?
118 pounds was saved from going to the landfill.
Yeah,
which
from
is
one
incredible.
event.
Yeah, one event. Yeah.
Very, very impressive. And on another side of the kind of waste approach, so that's the repair and almost reduce, I guess it's all of the things. It's repairing, it's reduce, reuse. Then there's this other program through NPL, the Library of Things, which again gets into that, reducing the need for buying new things, reducing the consumption, and potentially reusing new materials. So Ryan, I'd love to hear from you next about the Library of Things, and also just as Bailey did, provide your introduction as to how you ended up at the Nashville Public Library, what your sustainability journey has looked like, and then share with us about the Library of Things. Oh, you're muted.
Dang,
It's okay,
I really
happens
thought
to
I was going to nail that. All right. Hey everyone, Ryan Darrow. I'm the branch manager of the Donelson Branch Library and Bailey's boss. So I've been with the library system for about 13 years. I've been at this branch for a year and a half. We've been doing some great work. I'm really proud of the team out here, as you saw with the repair fair. One of the projects that I worked on is Library of Things. Also, I'm going to talk about that with you in just a second. My sustainability journey started in a really personal way. I went to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. I'm from California originally, so I was on a family trip, and then they had a very extensive ocean plastic exhibit, and I really got pretty profoundly upset by what I was reading. So I went on a real strong anti-plastic journey, and then sort of went from there and started learning more about sustainability. I'm definitely not perfect, but working toward it every day. I want to talk to a little bit, just to dovetail off of what Bailey was talking about with the repair fair. Loosely and broadly, libraries are such a place of radical community connection and radical sharing economy. And I think that that's really important, just on a elevated basis, to look at libraries like that rather than just book pushers, right? So we exemplify the great progressive movement of holding things and services and programs in trust for the community, and then sharing them back out to people. And so we do that in all sorts of ways. Someone in the chat earlier mentioned proctoring. We do free proctoring, which if you've ever had to find a proctor, getting a free one is nearly impossible, even at most libraries. We do notary services for free. And again, same thing, finding a free notary is quite a challenge. Programmatically, puppet shows, and everyone is familiar with the puppet shows and the story times, but we also do free movie screenings, a free music program. In fact, Bailey also organizes a monthly concert here at the Donelson Branch Library. We have a whole day of music planned for next Wednesday. I hope to see you guys out there. And then, of course, we share things with the community. Books, everyone mentioned books. The libraries for hundreds of years have been holding books in trust for the community and then sharing them back out to people. So we've been participating in the sharing economy for centuries at this point. And our newest, so we also share other stuff too. Board games, we share those community passports that got mentioned earlier. And then now the latest development is Library of Things, which collects a lot of those things together. So what is a Library of Things? So Library of Things started several years ago. It's been through several different names and permutations. And you might think, well, you're just loaning out individual items. What could be so complicated? It's government and it's a library. Things definitely get complicated. So it took us lots and lots of years to get the infrastructure in place to be able to do this, to get the equipment in place to do this, to get the cataloging standards in place. It's more complicated than it seems. As I found out, I also thought it would be pretty easy. The Library of Things focuses on several categories currently. So tools and electronics, health and fitness equipment, food and party items, crafts and hobbies, and musical instruments. So tools and electronics, one might be an air quality meter that you can borrow. That's one example. Health and fitness equipment, you can borrow yard games like croquet, you can borrow ankle weights, things like that. Food and party items, ice cream maker is one of the most popular things. Crafts and hobbies, I forget. There's stuff in there though. And then musical instruments, we have a lot of percussion stuff. We have ukuleles, which we've actually been loaning ukuleles for a while, but we sort of folded that into the new Library of Things concept and more. So why a Library of Things? In libraries, we call this non-traditional circulation, and libraries are expanding in this way a lot right now. Sometimes it's not, well, as I mentioned earlier, it's not a book, a movie, music. If it's anything that's not that, then it's a thing of some kind. And so that's going to be considered non-traditional circulation. So the first library of things, we did not invent this concept in Nashville Public Library. I wish that we could say that we did, but the first library of things was launched actually during World War II in Grosse Pointe, Michigan. And what's so cool is I visited my friends in Detroit 2 years ago and got to see the first Library of Things because they live in Grosse Pointe. So we just went right down the road to where it started, which was really exciting. Now in the 1970s, the Berkeley Public Library, probably the biggest public library that started a tool library early, started a tool library or a Library of Things. As I mentioned earlier, libraries have always participated in that sharing economy. The world has come to trust that libraries can do that function, and where libraries are now really starting to expand and why we're starting to expand is more and more people are starting to realize that individual ownership has detrimental consequences for their economic position, for their well-being in their space, and also for society and our environment. So what a perfect way to launch a Library of Things so that we can, again, hold those things in trust for everyone. Ideally, something that gets included in a Library of Things should fulfill one of several needs, or at least one. Someone just wants to try something before they buy them, so that's going to prevent them from having to buy that, damaging themselves economically, and turns out they don't want to do that thing, and they've continued to purchase things that are unnecessary to be purchased, thereby making them make more and more and more of them. Sometimes something can be prohibitively expensive for people, and so we can fulfill that need for them, especially if it's like one-time use. And that's the other thing too, is what if you just need it one time? Why are we purchasing those things and storing them? Even if we have room for storage, which of course more and more Nashville does not have room for storage. I live in a 900 square foot house. I don't have a lot of room to store things. So for those selfish reasons, I worked on Library of Things, so the library can store them for me. And then speaking again of storage, sometimes things are just so big, you might have room to store a hammer, but you might not have room to store something larger than that. And so we can hold it for you. So I mentioned earlier some of the things that we loan out that are different than Library of Things. Library of Things, again, are those very specific categories in terms of what we call our Library of Things collection. I mentioned board games, museum passes. Someone mentioned I think everyone mentioned seeds earlier. We loan out computers like Chromebooks for people that don't have access to a Chromebook any other way. We loan out tablets for people that need tablets. We loan out B-cycle bicycle passes. And we also loan out local art. Interestingly, the Donelson branch, the current Donelson branch, when it opened, also loaned out art. It wasn't local art, it was prints, but everything old is new again in libraries. We're really relearning some of these lessons about what people need and want from us. And so part of that, as we started collecting all those different things and loaning them out, led to Library of Things, where we asked ourselves, well, why can't we loan out X? Why can't we loan out Y? And we never found a good answer for that. So here we are. So how to use Library of Things. First, you have to be over the age of 18 because you have to sign a one-time limitation of liability waiver. Again, you just sign it one time. It goes into your patron record. You do have to have a library card for it. It goes into your patron record. So from then on, anytime you check out an item, you will no longer have to sign that waiver. The Library of Things is actually stored at the main library because it, again, takes up so much space, which is part of the reason it exists. It's in a closed stacks department. That just means you can't just go browse the item. Instead, you need to use the catalog. It's not a card catalog, of course, it's the OPAC or the online public access catalog. So you just need to search for an item that you're looking for, and you can request that it be put on hold. We will deliver it just like a book to any location that in the National Public Library system. So any of the 21 locations. Once it's delivered, just like any other material, you're going to receive an email and you have 7 days to pick it up. And once it's checked out to you, you actually have 21 days to use it. You only need it for 7 days, just bring it back in 7 days. So I am going to show you a few screenshots of how that works. This is the National Public Library's website. I'm sure you're familiar with it. The search bar in the upper right-hand corner is by default the catalog. So you can search right there. In this scenario, I'm going to search for ice cream maker. So once I hit enter from ice cream maker, it's going to bring up, there we go, the ice cream maker. But you can see too that the search includes any kind of item in our whole collection. This is a keyword search, so it's just kind of like a Google search, for lack of a better way to explain it. And so it's just bringing up the books that have that for recipes for ice cream, all sorts of stuff. So if I want to limit it, I can actually, on the left-hand side, I can click Library of Things right there, the little checkbox. And when I do that, it's going to limit it to only stuff that's in the Library of Things collection. So the other thing that you can do, that's an example of if you're looking for an ice cream maker quite specifically. The other thing that you can do is, if you are just searching, you're like, what things does the library have? Well, you can just search for nothing in the catalog. Just go to that catalog search and hit enter. And it's going to bring up every item in the whole library system for you to peruse. So as you can see, there's 744,000 adult materials in the collection if you look to the upper left. So then if you click more under collection, it's going to bring up this whole list of all of our different collections. And what a fun way to see all the different stuff that we do also. But you can see where that arrow is. Library Things is one of those. If you click that, it will bring up a list of all the Library of Things. I'm going ahead of myself. Okay. So and then finally, one more way that you can search Library Things, if you go to Books and More in the upper left-hand corner, and you scroll all the way down, once you click that link to the bottom, you're going to see there's links to the Art Lending Library, that B-Cycle Pass, board games, community passports, devices, Library Things, and Seed Exchange. And then if you click any of those things, it's going to take you to that collection specifically. And then if we click Library of Things, of course, it brings us to those further categories. Once you click, if you're in the market for a musical instrument, to give it a shot, click Browse Musical Instruments, and then it's going to bring you to the full catalog list, again, of just the musical instruments and Library of Things. One last point I want to make before I turn it back over. We do accept donations of new or like new items that fit any of those categories in Library of Things. So if you have things that are taking up space in your attic or your garage and you don't use them often, please do consider donating them to help us continue to grow the collection, to help the community, and to reduce the need for our neighbors and friends to buy new. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you so much, Ryan. And could you clarify on the donation piece, how people go about doing those donations?
Great question. You can call ahead of time if you want to just double check that it's something that we would accept, or you can also email me directly if you feel more comfortable just doing email. I know I do. And I think when you send the follow-up, my email will be included, so feel free to use it from that. But you're also welcome to just bring whatever thing it is into any of your local branches, and we will send it to our collection development department for evaluation. You won't get it back if we decide not to use it. That's kind of one thing, but we'll figure out a use for it, or we'll get it to Goodwill or something for you.
It's now the property of the Nashville Public Library.
That's the way donations work. Once you drop them off, but that's kind of nice, right? You drop it off and you don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah, thank you so much. And really appreciate what you were saying kind of at the beginning about the, I wrote it down here, the radical community sharing that the public library represents. And I think that's a really great segue also into just generally, again, the concepts you were sharing around consumption. And we can have these almost uncomfortable feelings around consumption and being asked to limit consumption and all of that, but there's almost a more positive feeling around it when you put it that way, of like the sharing economy, the radical community involvement, and being just a little bit less individualistic than sometimes we're trained to be. But I'm curious to know how else you feel, and you kind of touched on this, but how else you feel the sharing economy concept within the Library of Things intersects with equity in Nashville. And again, you mentioned the reducing the need, the economic need to buy things, but particularly when we think about improving the access to the Library of Things across all Nashvillians.
It's a great question. I think that one thing that it occurs to me in my days working with transit and transit now, we talked about a lot about choice riders versus riders of need, right? So some folks depend on the bus to get around, and some folks choose to use the bus to get around. And so the Library of Things offers, and the library in general offers both of those things. We're a safe harbor for folks that can't afford to do a thing otherwise, but we can also be that option for people that are just choosing to make a deliberate choice in their life about the way that they want to either consume or not consume, as the case may be. For instance, I don't own a book. I don't buy them. Books are actually really resource intensive to make. They take water. They're full of plastic. There's a way that we can actually. This is weird, but a librarian saying like, let's get less books out there. But like, what I'm saying is that even if just a small fraction of us make that choice of borrowing from the library instead of purchasing new, and that includes books, it's going to make a dent.
That's amazing. And of course, in my mind, I'm thinking of a librarian's home being filled with books. But just as you say, it makes so much sense. The whole point is for that to be a shared economy, and for it not to be privatized in your own home. I really appreciate all of those intersections, and especially now that you've that there's just more of the things, of course, the Library of Things, things available to be in this sharing economy, just like books have been. And I'm
Allie, can I also just mention one thing that I really inspire everyone listening today to do is wonder what a library can be for you. Our mission overall is extremely flexible, and that's by design. So if you have an idea of what you think the library should be loaning out or the library should get involved in, contact your local branch manager. Contact me directly if you want. We love to hear those ideas. A lot of people, I fear, think that the especially like the big public library system is like this monolithic sort of, we will decide what needs to happen, but we need to hear back from the community because we're not the experts on what everyone needs and wants from us.
Really appreciate you making that call out, and just the desire for collaboration is very clear in your work on the Library of Things, and then also on the repair fair. Like the concept of it takes a village. It takes all of us being involved, and there's also a sense of community empowerment around that I really appreciate. And to pull Bailey back into this, I would be curious in both of your programs, both Library of Things and the repair fair, if there are materials that aren't currently included in those programs that you would like to include, whether it's Bailey on your side, anything that wasn't repaired that you have on your dream wish list, or Ryan, materials that you think could be included in the Library of Things in the future.
Yeah, well, on my end for the repair fair, like I said, there was only 6 categories that we had: woodworking, tech, mechanical, home appliance, knife sharpening, and something else. And we talked about other different ones that we would love to add. Right now, I can't remember them, but they're anything that people can fix. We would love to have people involved. So it's not, even if you're whatever you fix. I know somebody offered to fix clocks. So even if it's not a traditional thing that they can fix, we would still love to have people involved and offer those services to other people.
Yeah, even now I'm trying to think almost in my mind, like, I don't know that someone would bring a giant chair, but like reupholstering is such an easy fix, an easy hack that, you don't need to donate that item. You can give it some new fabric, some new love, and keep it right in your home. Yeah.
Reupholstering.
Oh, Bailey, I'm sorry. So for library things, there's a like, man, what don't I want in library things? I would love, so my number one most desired item would be a pressure washer. I think that that is a thing that keeps our neighborhoods sort of clean or our houses and our things clean. And that's just good community engagement just by loaning that out and helping people that, because pressure washers can be really expensive. One category that which probably fits under electronics that we don't currently have, or some items we don't have, are like cassette tape players, VCRs, things that are getting a little bit more difficult to locate, especially VCRs. The audience here might not know, but they do not make them anymore. They just don't make them anymore. So we wouldn't even be able to buy it for the community at this point to start. And I know some of y'all have some VCRs out there, so feel free to bring it to the library. Because that's really important too, because I mean, like, people have their memories in their home movies. Oh yeah, a weed wrench, yes, that's definitely on the list. We have people have their memories and their lives still on VHS, and more people are unable to access those things. So at the very minimum, a VCR so that people can access that stuff, and hopefully in the future a way for them to convert that also to a digital media.
Those are great, and I love that. What don't you want at the library of things? There are so many things.
I'll take it all.
Really appreciate that. And Christina, I'll maybe turn it over to you at this point to see if we have any questions from the audience, and then we can, as you have any questions for Ryan and Bailey, also include those.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much. And this was great. I was having a blast and really love kind of the ethos of both of y'all. And really, it's a beautiful way that you explain what you do, and it is a beautiful thing. So thank you. One question that was floating around my head, we don't have too many questions in the Q&A function. I think this is like a pretty straightforward topic. So I think y'all are just doing a great job of answering all the questions kind of ahead of time, but just kind of a final call out. If anybody wants to put their question in that Q&A function, we'll make sure that we ask Ryan and Bailey. We have two right now that are pretty quick questions. But two things that were floating around my head is, I'm curious if you do any work with schools in particular. So I know like teachers use the seed exchange a lot. I was just thinking, I've always wanted to see students involved in repair clinics. I just think it's such a skill for them to learn how to repair things. And so I'm just curious if you do anything with students in schools. And then also we were wondering over here if you lend out like tables and chairs for events and things like that. So two questions, and then I'll get to the actual questions.
In regards to big schools being involved in the repair fair, we didn't have any this time. I would love for more schools, like from shop classes, and they have a lot of classes over there where they do this kind of stuff, and I would love to have them more involved with this program. I did reach out to a couple. I didn't hear much back from them, but for future ones, I would definitely love to reach out to more schools and kind of see if we can get more students from shop classes and things like that involved.
We do not loan out tables and chairs.
Tables and chairs or no?
Yeah. Simple answer on that one. I think the biggest challenge for us on that particular piece, I mean, it's a great idea. I think it would just be a store. Like, where would we keep? Because that takes up like so much space, especially because if you need some chairs and tables, you probably need like 20 tables and like 200 chairs.
Exactly. And it's a little scary to leave that to lending it out if you only have one batch of them.
Right. Yeah. And then we need our tables and chairs, so that we have to get new tables and chairs. So,
yeah, exactly.
But great. It's a great recommendation. I'm gonna put it right up here.
Yes. Awesome. And then, so a couple of questions that we have here. This one's from Savannah asking, the Metro Beautification Tool Share has a weed wrench. And so they were wondering if that service can be combined into the library of things. So I guess that's a very specific thing on the weed wrench. And then just in general, have y'all worked with Metro Beautification Tool Share and kind of combined forces, I guess?
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to think about that. Our missions are a little bit different, because the Metro Beautification Tool Share is primarily for community groups doing group cleanups, and ours are more designed for individual use. So in the past, I know when I first learned about tool share through beautification, I was like, hey, can I borrow that rototiller? And they were like, what? Like, no, you need like a, why do you need the rototiller? And I was like, just to dig up my garden. But they were like, that's not quite what we do.
Yeah.
So I think that there's opportunity for overlap. And I think that we definitely need to make sure that we're touching base with them probably in a more deliberate way to make sure that they are able to refer people to us for individual use, and then vice versa, that when we find out that it's a group use, that we send people over to them. And maybe one day in the future we can.
Love it. And we have one from Sophia, which is a very specific one. And of course, we can go on the website and we can search it, but we have you right here. So do you have volleyball nets?
It's a great idea. We don't have volleyball nets. We have, man, that's a good one. We should get volleyball nets. Hold on.
Yeah. So there you go. You might have one in the near future. If anybody has one to donate. There we go.
If you have one to donate, yeah, that'd be great. We do have some, like, I think we have like volleyballs, and we definitely have croquet, and we have cub, and we have like all these different yard games. But the thing with library things which is so amazing is the deeper you go down that rabbit hole, it's like the more you're like, well, yeah, let's do that too. Why not? Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. Oh, there's a million different types of yard games. So it's really limitless to the amount of things that we can do. And yes, I'll share more info about bike share, but it's really limitless about where we can go with this. And that's why that community feedback is so important, because we don't want to waste your money in doing this either by just taking some wild guesses about what you might need. So when you say things like volleyball net, super helpful, and I can write it down.
For sure. And then we have from Jim here, they were saying when they last visited the Library of Things, they noticed that many popular items have what appear long wait lists, like the 49 you showed waiting for the ice cream maker.
Yeah.
It varies, but about how long is the wait between a request and fulfillment? Thanks.
Ooh, that is a tricky, unfortunately, that's a super tricky question. So because there's a 21-day checkout period, which means that it's really unpredictable about how long people are needing that. One thing that we're looking at doing in the future, which we're just really in the preliminary stages of figuring this out, is perhaps figuring out a way for you to reserve a thing on a specific date so that you'll know that it's ready and available for you. Because if you are having a ice cream party, right, then you need to know that you're going to get that ice cream maker by July 4th, right? And so being able to reserve it really empowers people to make that a little more useful for them. Right now, you're totally right. It is a bit of a crapshoot. You just kind of got to get on the list and hope it comes at a time that's beneficial for you. So it's definitely something that we're thinking of. The other thing that I can tell you is that just like with physical materials like books, we do have a holds ratio on the Library of Things, which means that when that holds list gets so long, and I think we're still on a 5-to-1, meaning if there's 5 people waiting for 6 people waiting for one item, then we'll order a second item. And then so that if there's 100 people waiting on 4 items, we'll order however many more items we need to make sure that people aren't having to wait forever.
Great, that's cool. Yeah, I didn't know that there was like a system to the madness of holds.
We have nothing but systems in libraries.
Yes, that makes sense. That's great, and I also appreciate that because it's kind of talking about the community aspect of it too, and kind of people holding on to things for longer than they need. It's like when you get into that cycle of no, this is for the community, it's a community good, then you bring it back, you make sure it's in good condition, and it's just a nice kind of cycle. So I just appreciate that. I have one in here that I am super excited about from Greta. She's saying that she works in the science outreach at Vanderbilt. And they have good science supplies that they don't use enough of to justify keeping, but she's always wondered if it would be wonderful to have a library of them for teachers and educators to have access to. Would you be interested in opening up that kind of section? That's beautiful. I work with classrooms. I would love to see this happen. I already copied and pasted this into my own notes. What are you thinking about that, Ryan? Yep.
Greta, get in touch with me. Let's chat.
Yes, I love that. That's really wonderful. Greta, if you want to email Ryan and CC me on there too, we can maybe think about ways to get this out to educators in a different way as well. But that's really cool. See, this is great. We're getting lots of connections going on. Let's see. This is another one of those kind of more basic ones of just like, do you accept electronic cables in the Library of Things, which could be paired with VHS and other equipment? So you're just taking kind of like loose cables?
So I think not currently, though. I would be happy to accept those and work on getting those included. I don't see why we wouldn't. We just don't have them now. But yeah, cables is an interesting one too, right? Because there's like so many weird cables, and sometimes you need this like super weird cable, and it's like $50. So I think that's a great idea. Yeah, cables, get in touch with me. Sounds good.
You're gonna get a ton of emails.
Love it.
And then kind of sticking, we do have one for the repair fair I'm gonna ask, but sticking with the Library of Things, Ed is wondering, I think what everyone's wondering a little bit of, what happens if you borrow something like a yard game and you return it with missing parts, like the shuttlecocks and things like that? So are you going down and hunting people down to get those materials? What is that looking like if someone comes with, are they on a blacklist after? Like
That's right. We come to your house at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
And we knock on that. No, so just like with other things like books or whatever, if there's damage and it becomes an unusable item, you do get billed for the replacement cost of that item. So let's continue on thinking about shuttlecocks. You would not be charged for the replacement cost of the entire what is that, badminton? Is that right? What is shuttlecocks on?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I don't know, whatever, but the badminton set, let's pretend that I'm right about that. You would just be charged for the replacement of that shuttlecock. But if you don't return the item at all, right, like we're gonna definitely be like, you have to pay for, you obviously wanted it, so we need to now replace that item for the community. And if it's break and the whole set, whatever it is broken beyond use, then yeah, you would be charged for replacement costs for that.
Right, that makes sense. Perfect.
Christina, can I add a
Yeah.
question in there before we switch to the repair fair? You mentioned the ice cream maker as being a popular item that a lot of folks have rented out. What is involvement looking like in the program? Are you seeing like how many participants have you seen since it started? If you even have that kind of measurement.
I don't have it offhand, so I would have to get it to you.
Oh, that's okay. I'm just curious. It seems especially with the ice cream maker wait line, that a lot of people have been requesting items. So.
You know what I think too, that really long wait line is a consequence of is like people are very excited at the concept, which I think is really heartening to know. Like when they found out about this, I think a lot of times people may not have even needed these things, but they're just like, I want to be able to borrow this thing from the library so that I can have that experience, so that I can, and I may not have needed to make ice cream, just sticking with the ice cream maker, but now that I can get an ice cream maker, why not make ice cream, right? So I think there's a lot of that too. So we are definitely anticipating that holds list will sort of chill out pretty soon.
So we have we have one other question that was floating around about B-cycle. So if you could just I'm breaking the rules. I saw it in the chat. It should be in the Q&A. But if you want to just real quick tell a little bit more about B-cycles. And also we found out that shuttlecocks is badminton. So
Bailey, you want to take B-cycle or you want me to?
Yeah, I mean, I can take it. So B-cycle is our partnership with B-cycle that we use, that we have. You do have to sign a form every time you come in to get the B-cycle pass. But what it is, it's like a little keychain kind of guitar pick, and you use this at a B-cycle station, and I'll let you check out the bike. It's only for 2 hours, and then you have to bring the bike back to the spot, but then you can recheck it out again and use it for another 2 hours. I think it's a 3-week checkout for the key, the pick to do it, but yeah, it's very popular, and a lot of people, especially during this kind of weather, a lot of people seem to love it. You just have to go to a B-cycle station and unlock the bike with the key that we get you.
I might just add to that. It's actually 1 week that you can keep the pass. And one weird thing is a lot of the branches have some helmets that we just have that you can actually have. You don't even have to return them. You're not even borrowing them. But when B-cycle launched this with us, they gave each branch like 3 helmets, and we don't have a way to keep them out. So for this group, if you want to borrow it, there's a secret library trick right there.
Sustainable in the
Ask-
city exclusive. You heard
ask
it
to
here
see if they have
first.
a helmet. Yep.
That's why people come to these episodes. Get those hacks around the city. And so I feel like I've been holding on to this question for so long now, but basically Meg was wondering with the repair fair, is there any training available for volunteers to become more knowledgeable? So they're saying, I'd be interested in helping, but would likely need to expand my skill set. And I think that's a really cool opportunity of scaling this, is having folks train other people to then go and do that, the repair fair. So is there any training available for volunteers?
So we don't have any like official training that we offer for people. I don't even screen people who offer to volunteer. If they say that they can fix it, I'm like, all right, get in there. So we don't have any like a formal training, but feel free to come by and just sit with somebody there who is fixing. Definitely. That's part of the whole thing, is for people to learn how to fix stuff. So definitely, even if you don't have anything to fix, just feel free to come by and sit by somebody who's fixing something you might be interested in, and I'm sure they'd be more than happy to share with you.
Now I have something I want to do. I want to just like lurk near people fixing things and learn.
Just
Learn how to.
room of workers.
I do
I shouldn't
think
have said
that
lurk, but
just building off of Bailey, I think that that's a really great question, because it lends my thinking to where we can take this, Bailey, in terms of expanding out to more deliberate community education surrounding repair. Because right now it's really ad hoc, and as you're getting one very particular thing fixed at the repair fair, you're learning probably how to fix that one very particular thing. But maybe not all the skills that you need to do those basic repairs on the fly, and creatively know how to repair something. So I think that's a really fun idea, and something to look at as you move into your next one. When's the next one, by the way?
Right now we're hoping the next one will be in August. We're in talks on maybe doing it at another branch, but nothing really concrete comes from that just yet, but hopefully in August. And we'll keep everybody updated on the date on that one when we have it.
thank you. That will definitely, we can put that out on both of our newsletters, Urban Green Lab and Metro, and we should definitely. I've made a note, just like Christina did, about the teacher connection. Made a note about scaling fix-it trainings for Metro to Metro connection. Exciting things to come. All right, Christina, is there anything else? We're a little earlier than usual, but I think it's just because, as you said before, Ryan and Bailey just hit it out of the park with providing us all their great information, that there was no need for too many questions.
That's great. That's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
People a little bit extra time and end at one. That's wonderful.
Do you guys mind if I real quick just talk about the new Donelson branch that's about to?
Yes.
Okay, so we are about to get a new library building, y'all. It's the first one in like 7 years. So the current Donelson building was built in 1966, and boy, does it feel like it sometimes. So we are outgrown of our space. Look at, poor Bailey's in the adapted reuse basement as a meeting room today. So we have outgrown our space. So we are about a 6,000 square foot branch now. The new branch will be 24,000 square feet. It will be a LEED Gold certified building. There are geothermal wells. There are solar panels. We currently have a solar bench here that will end up going over to the new branch. We got that as part of the TOP grant, which is a state grant. So come on by and charge your phone. Just why not? What else? We'll have a bioswale in the back for stormwater retention sort of plantings in the back. It's primarily native plantings, I think. What else is sustainable about that building? Lots of stuff. Anyway, so I thought that everyone might be interested in that. Again, construction is currently slated to end in April 2024, and then that means probably an opening sometime in June as things stand. Of course, construction, you know how construction goes, so we'll see how that goes. But it's a box right now. You can see the skeleton of it.
That is so exciting. And thank you so much for sharing. We had a question about where it will be located.
Yeah, so it's if you're familiar with Donelson at all, it's located in Donelson Plaza, which is a 1950s or 60s era shopping mall or strip. They demolished a portion of that strip, and then the library will be a freestanding building in the middle. That is the same place that if you've ever gone bowling, and it's Donelson Strike and Spare is there. Homegrown tap room is there. There's a comic shop. And pretty soon the bagel shop that's currently located downtown will be there too. So it's a really vibrant and exciting area. It's just across the street from the train station. And so that factors in too, if you're at all familiar with some of the goals of Donelson being a transit-oriented development. The library is a piece of that to make sure that people can work, live, and enjoy behind where Two Rivers. I'm going to believe you, Ed. All right, I don't know where Two Rivers Ford is. So yeah, so it fulfills that vision of being able to work, live, play all in Nashville without having a car, because the train hopefully can fulfill all your needs, and then your very local, hyper local surroundings can also fulfill that.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Just another example of all the great things that are happening with Nashville Public Library, specifically the Donelson branch, giving the Donelson branch some extra love on this Sustainable in the City episode, but for all of NPL. We so appreciate your time, Ryan and Bailey, and thank you so much for all you do for Nashville and all you do to promote Nashvillians reducing waste and consuming a little less stuff. But again, thank you all, thank you, Ryan and Bailey, but thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Sustainable in the City this afternoon. We will be back with you next month, the second Wednesday of, let's see, do you know what day that is, Christina? I don't know it off the top of my head. Is it the 12th? July 12th? Yeah, we'll be back with our next episode, July 12th. And until then, hope you all have a great rest of your June and early July.
Bye, everyone.